Okay. Welcome to the Art of Rock. It's Saturday. Every day is Saturday here in Art of Rock land. First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge the Tongva people as being the traditional landowners of where I am. That's Los Angeles, California. Every Saturday, join us here in Magic Land. This is Magic Land. Better fucking believe it. There. Angelspit's Twitch or the YouTube, whatever you want. Like and subscribe to that shit. Those words just flow out of your mouth, don't they? Like and subscribe. Angelspit's Patreon. This is brought to you by Angelspit's Patreon. Members are here, guys. Thank you. Oh my god, thank you. We're all trying to keep each other going. $3 a month, and you can get stuff. That's less than you tip most people. Angelspit's new album's coming out. You're going to get a free copy if you're a Patreon supporter. And so much of the content will eventually be free because not everyone can afford stuff because reasons. New album's called the Nebula Suite. That's the Ice Planet 9000. It's dark, spacey stuff, and I'm very happy with it. Go listen to it, or listen to it on streaming for free. Industrial Incisions is on streaming for free. It's a whole bunch of bands. Some of them are here. By the way, you guys all owe me new tracks. There, subscribe to that, because it's always changing. And there's a bunch of songs you've heard and a bunch of songs you haven't heard, and get involved with the band. You know, if all of us play our own music, like this playlist once a week or something, we're going to really help each other out with the streaming. On other things to help you out with the streaming is Vulture Culture Wednesday nights. Alex and the deep dives, they are so good. I don't even remember what Wednesday was because I was so drunk. That's the thing, you watch Synths and get drunk. What was fucking Wednesday? What are you doing?
JX8P.
The JX8P. God, I suck. Great, that was awesome. And I also bought a t-shirt. Got to keep them going. Bought a Scum t-shirt. Oh wow, hey look, if you want to buy my merch, there's something you can get. Pound of Flesh. It's a whole bunch of shit. Go get it. After this, we're going to raid on over to MTV TV because it's the most incredible stuff in the universe. It is the most incredible stuff in the universe, and your new favorite band is there waiting for you. And if you want to get played on there, all you have to do is send them an email. Hi, Adam. Who else is in here? Hi, Adam. Send them an email and they'll play your stuff, and people are going to find out about you because people watch it. It's great. They just have it on in the background. Oh, who is that? I'll check them out. Fantastic. They've also got a Kickstarter. We have to keep them going. This is important. Back their Patreon. In fact, back their Patreon before you back my Patreon because it's important. Here's another Patreon, and that's Rezzy's. Rezzy, thank you so much.
You're so fucking welcome.
Oh, baby, you're the best.
No, you are.
Oh, no, you are. But we can talk about who's the best on darkmusic.net, which is a new kind of like goth meetup place. Did that actually send? I think that sent. Yeah, look, there you go. Oh, hey, party people. Did you say that? And same with Chatty G?
Trying to put in really insipid, terrible cliches as much as I can.
Ivan. So my first... so you got your groove back?
Yeah.
How?
It's on its way. B12. Turns out, I have pernicious anemia, which is, it sucks. And, when you're, deep in the crap from it, one of the things that happens is like, parts of your brain just shut down and refuse to work. Because it does cognitive things to you. So you wander around and pretend to be a normal human being. Meanwhile, you are not a normal human being. And you do crappy things like wake up every morning and wonder how it is that, you could feel shittier. It sucked. A couple of weeks ago, I finally reached a point where I spent an entire day just lounging in bed, feeling like I was going to die. And then got the first blood tests done, and yay, joined the family you know, finally got my ticket punched. But one of the things that it did was like it just shut off all of my creativity, just down for the count. It was horrible. What has happened since is I started getting B12 injections and just taking massive quantities of B12, and it's roaring back like somebody just woke up a lion.
I like that. For everybody else, maybe B12, because it's funny, man. I've started hitting the B12 and the iron a bit as well. Like, I have this funny thing where I start shuffling my feet.
Oh, that's a sign.
Yeah, that's a sign. And my joints hurt if I don't have iron. I made this really interesting realization, and this is about music. I don't want to branch off, but I made a realization this week that I've stopped dancing. That I used to always like. I used to go out dance. I don't go out anymore because I don't have any friends in LA. Actually, the truth is I'm fucking working all the time, so I can't go out. And my friends are all working all the time, so they don't go out either. But Frank keeps me occupied. But I used to also dance around the house. Like I'd do the washing up, I'd be dancing, I'd be grooving around. I don't do that anymore. And I only realized that recently. So it's very interesting because like something I do I want to ask you about song arrangement, but something that's always really important is what's going on with if you can't write music, if you're in a bad funk, if you've lost your mojo, it might be because you lost your mojo. And self-care, dancing, smiling, going out, socializing, vitamin B and iron and all that stuff, and zinc for the boys and the girls is really important. Because that's where I am right now, is that my brain's just gone. And also, put your fucking phone fucking in another fucking room.
As it turns out, self-care is probably, one of the most important lessons in this whole debacle. It's like the very last song that I wrote and like published was, the Kevin Key rap thing a year ago. And then after that, I was too cashed. I was too worn out to even think about it. And also my my internal soundtrack, just making up shit in my head, like it just went silent.
That's an interesting thing.
And when that went silent, I completely just was out of ideas. And since I had no ideas, I just left everything off.
Okay, this is fascinating, and everybody, you're welcome to join in here as well. That I find when I'm depressed, I'm traumatized, I'm in a bad place. Everybody's dealing with some kind of trauma. When that comes to the surface, it's kind of like libido. It's kind of like the musical intellectual libido for a musician. Is that music? It's not always an internal dialogue. It might be beats, it might be sounds, it might be music, it might be, clouds of whatever. When that goes away, and the thing about it is it goes away gently and you don't notice until you go, wow, there's no music in my head. I saw here, Diana, you mentioned fog. If you can fast, this is just me personally, from what I have noticed, fasting is the only thing that will get rid of that fog for me. But others have their other things. That's really fascinating. Does anybody else want to jump in? Not so much about when you lose the musical libido, when you lose the mojo, when you lose that inner. Does everybody else have inner music in their head when things are going well? Yes, I see nodding heads. Rosie's kind of nodding.
I've always got drum beats going in my head. It's like usually if I'm happy and relaxed and I'm talking to people, I'm also tapping. And that's part of how I keep my attention. And it drives people crazy at work when I used to be in an office. I just sit there and I'll be tapping all day long. But yeah, when stuff's not exactly right, that goes away and other emotions or whatever take over.
Yeah, I feel your dread here. This is really interesting because also LA Opera is currently one of my other side hustles is I do podcasts for LA Opera, and they do this health month where they look at music, and I've got Frank screaming at me right now. They do music. That's right, Frank. They look at what music does to your brain, what it does to your body, how it heals you. It's insane. And it's really funny. When they started this, there was science and there was woo-woo. And increasingly, the two are coming closer together because all that crazy woo-woo stuff, they're going, holy shit, that's science. And they're making these breakthroughs only in the last few years. Literally. It's crazy. So I don't even remember what I was saying. Does anybody else want to jump in right now and
Music therapy had a track record for working.
Yes.
Despite the fact that it was apparently all woo-woo, like it was working. So like it's good that research is catching up because when we find things like that especially where woo-woo starts like looking like it's working, then it's time to take a closer look and find out why it's working. And when we find out the why, then we know more about ourselves. And the more we know about ourselves and our brains, the better. That's an improvement for all of humanity right there.
Woo is a great word.
It most certainly
Great
is.
word. Yeah, no, and this is really interesting as well because it's like, I've always said that and this is a reason I don't like AI, which I don't want to go down the AI path, but there are decisions that I need to make when I'm making music that nothing else in the world, in my experience as a human, offers me these problems that come with fixing a song. Like there's no other problem solving no other problem solving situation that goes, you have to come up with a solution. It might not be the right solution, but it's got to work. And it might not work, but then in the execution, it works, or it works. Then in the execution, you fuck it. And that's what's the incredible thing about music, and that's I guess why we have caffeine. And it is also very interesting how music changed as caffeine became more available, because it was opening the mind. Okay, I am digressing now. Does anybody else want to jump in, or do we want to talk about song arrangement? Although I am really enjoying this conversation.
This is really working at the moment, but maybe it's time to jump over to arrangement.
All right. So besides getting your mojo back, tell me about arrangement, or ask me questions about arrangement.
Yeah, so I started writing stuff again, and my workflow is subtly changed, or not so subtly changed. It used to be that I would go into Ableton and just edit clips, and then throw them at each other until it was okay. Which was a lot of problem solving and a lot of like just fucking around. Since I've gotten back into it, now I'm going in and editing clips yet, but now the clips are being edited with intention. Like this is a chorus part. This is like a lead part. This is a drum fill. And like the timing or the length of each chunk is like predetermined, so that later in the process I can have a sit down with our vocalist and then like fully arrange his vocals and my music together so that things make sense for the vocalist and for me.
Resi, go.
this is sort of like sounds like a plug, but on the topic of going from, like some ideas that I want to arrange a song to, I have a fully written song with all the arrangements and production. The Strong Songs podcast this week had Jim Steinman and Total Eclipse of the Heart was the song that they did, which I hate to mention because I've never enjoyed the song, but it's like, I know I can't help it, whatever. It's like, but it tugged at all the nostalgic places for me listening to this breakdowns, and I listened to the acapellas. Okay, who's that? I don't have any synthesizers running. That can't have come from my thing.
That was a train.
It was beautiful.
That was a good train.
That sounded like train.
I mean, I'll look at my level meters next time I hear that because it really sounded like it was coming from my place. Listen to the acapellas of this song, and I mean, obviously, Bonnie Tyler's voice is amazing, but the backing singer, this Canadian guy, Rory, forgetting names. Let me get to a point. There's a chorale thing made of the two backing vocalists that are just stacked, and it's all Jim Steinman-y. And there's her lead vocal, which is up the middle most of the time, which is just passionate and amazing. And there's the call and response duo, which Jim Steinman arrangements have so much of the time. It's just a masterclass when you hear somebody talking about this stuff and taking you back to basics about, okay, now Kirk's got a very encouraging style with this podcast. If you haven't listened to exactly just the drum part in this part and how it hands off the rhythmic elaboration to the piano in this section, and then by bar 6 where he'll take you through it and remind you to get beginner mind, and it's almost like like a guru or a mantra meditation as he takes you back through remembering to listen. So if you don't have the moment to study the fucking masters on your own about how to arrange these things and how the biggest hits ever in perpetuity, because rock and roll, this is the art of rock, like how they were crafted and how they're created and what went into making them, you're missing out. I mean, it's like, this is a real opportunity. Now, I've said it before, but the age that we live in where there are multi-tracks available for these things, so you can hear, oh man, they turned that S down alone, and they were using like no fader automation. They were doing that on the fly with like 6 people hands on faders. But when that S was hitting too hard, they just dropped it a little bit. And when the vocal comes in solo, they're raising it up, and you hear all of these things. And I know we're talking about arrangements, not mixing, but it's like all of a piece. It's all related, and listening and being reminded as you go through these masterworks of all time, man, it's a good fucking, yeah.
Okay, I've got 2 questions. One, are we confusing with arrangement with the order that the blocks go? Verse block, chorus block, verse block, chorus block. That's the first question. The second question is, why are all Canadians named Rory?
I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I'll consult my sources.
It is necessarily true, and if it's not, they're lying.
It's a really good question. I've used them interchangeably, and I know that it's one of those like inflammable versus inflammable kind of things where definitely people use arrangements to mean the order of like verse, chorus. I call that form when there's confusion, whereas arrangement is definitely, did you include a drum kit or just a bodhrán or something? Like those are both. But also, since I talked for 10 minutes there, I was talking about both fully, including composition of melodies, including the ideas of your lyrics, including selecting which synths to use, including how many times they're going to come back, including how to contour the vocals around the harmony. So that cat is adorable. Carl, could you make sure you say something so that your camera switches on so that we can all be...
I think I'm unmuted now. Yeah, keep going.
No, there. I just wanted to make sure the cat got on screen. He's the best.
The cat?
Cat.
You mean Franklin J. Meowsevelt?
Oh, I like referring to it as the cat when it does something bad. So I guess it's definitely Frank when he's doing something good.
That's right, Frank. You tell him. Don't. All right. So a question from Frank is, actually, Ivan, this is a question from Frank. is what is when you say arrangement, are you talking about the actual arrangement itself, which is a massive conversation, as in the instrumentation, or are you talking about how the blocks go together?
That's a great question. And can't it be both?
Sure.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about the actual musicality first?
Yeah, like I primarily what I'm talking about is the blocks.
Can I shoot my mouth off about the blocks? I've got somebody outside.
Absolutely.
Frank is trying to destroy the person who is blowing leaves out. So he's like stalking them. Get him, Frank, with that leaf blower. So this is so interesting because, you know, rock and roll, intro, verse one, chorus, blah, 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 blah. It's really interesting that I'm trying to, and there's all these rules and I don't fucking care. But I'm really trying to listen to what the song wants, where the lyrics are going as well. As far as the chorus, I will choose the chorus. The chorus needs to be the punchline, or it needs to be the answer to the question, or it needs to be the light in the darkness, or something. It needs to be the step. Sometimes it's nice to have the chorus where the chorus goes, but it's just a little glimpse. It might be an instrumental thing with a vocal hook. And then right at the end, it's the full chorus. Like if the chorus is really fucking intense, you might only say it once. Like I just released a track recently called We All Love. And I actually changed the lyrics because it was We All Hate. But then I thought if I change it to We All Love, it's even more disturbing. And that's only at the end. It's only stated at the very end, as far as the horrifying chapter. So, yeah, listen to it. Sometimes it's great to start with a chorus. I have never started a song with a chorus. I always try to, but I can't. For some reason, I just can't do it. And Pop says, you should start with the chorus. But like I said, I don't give a fuck. And people who are into the madness that I do, don't really give a fuck either. Somebody jump in.
I like putting the chorus up at the
bricks.
top there. I think that's pretty cool. Sometimes I've tried to do it with the vocals and stuff, but I always end up with either like an a cappella chorus at the top. Maybe I've never done that, or a chorus without the vocals kind of thing. So it's a variation on it. But it's a bold move to the don't bar us, lead with the chorus kind of thing. That's you got to really have something else to say or keep the song really damn short. It's like an under 2-minute song. You might be able to get away with that.
Hold on. Are you saying start with the chorus or don't start with the chorus?
I'm not making any advice. I think there's ways to solve it in either case. I just don't think that I've ever successfully done the form as chorus, verse, bridge, like whatever. I think it's always been like alternate chorus without the vocal, introduce the melody or something like that with a half chorus at the top, that kind of thing.
It's very interesting that I've lost it. Sorry. Somebody else go.
I think we're mesmerized by the leaf blower too, because it's a very, yeah.
Especially when low volume coming through data glitch. That's what I was going to talk about. Now he's eating my plants. Frank, fucking seriously?
Don't eat the plants.
Jesus. Well, it's a spider plant, so it's non-toxic. Oh, you're such a prick right now.
Was it the KLF guy that wrote the How to Write a Hit Song book, and referring back to it or thinking about what he had to say every once in a while does come in handy.
Yes, and interesting thing about my intros is I keep them as short as I can. And I once heard that every song, and I really believe in this, every song needs a sound that only, as soon as you hear it, you know what song that is. And that could be a snare fill. It could be the type of snare. It could be fucking anything. But try and make it really distinctive. But one thing that I found is don't wank, or in industrial music that would be called, don't frontline assembly the intro, which is a 3-minute drone with a sample of going, I don't believe that ashes are falling from the sky. I don't believe. I. Like that. And the question is, which frontline assembly song was that? And the answer is all of them. And I take my hat off to frontline assembly because they are fucking awesome. Because they can do that shit and I sure as fuck can't. And they can get away with it because it's so good. But my point is, and I don't want to go down an FLA rant, I can't. I've just got to get to the point. And that's another thing, is that how important are the lyrics as well? And, you know, some people, who gives a shit, it's rock and roll. And in a situation like that, you can fuck around more, I reckon. And you can do more crazy stuff with everything else. Like one arrangement, as far as the string arrangement, the instrumentation, for me, is always Wuthering Heights. Isn't it interesting that I really think that music has... They're used, you know, that whole thing about when you pull in Quincy Jones on the arrangement, every single fucking thing Michael Jackson has ever done. When you pull in somebody who is an arranger, it changes the fucking song. And you listen to so many songs of that era where an arranger has come in on a big budget song, which is the hit, that's going to go platinum. So let's pull out all stops. And you listen to the choices they make and how the arrangement and everything else changes the emotion and the build up and the atmosphere of this song. And it's so, I think it's really important. That's the instrumentation. So this is such a huge conversation. Does anybody else want to jump in? Because I'm talking shit. What you got?
No, I don't think you're talking shit, man. Don't beat yourself up.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I like a lot.
You did say something. Sorry, Brett. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I like a lot of non-traditional instruments, things that aren't supposed to be instruments or aren't typically, you know, grab, for example, a conversation off the street and then run it through pictures of any kind, vocoders, pictures, assign them to a note and then reverse them, add distortion, and then after you've chopped them up about 1,000 different ways, you've got a unique sound. I do that a lot with stuff I do.
Carl, the thing that I thought was particularly not shit was you made a little quick allusion to, well, maybe I filled it in, but it sounded like you were talking about introducing people into the little world of the song with your intro, being quick about it, establishing your tonality and timbre and like tempo and stuff real early. I've definitely, you know, like there's a Pink Floyd way of doing it where it might take 15 minutes of sound effects to get there. And that's fucking fun to build. But it's like sometimes, you know, the little voice in your head should be saying, get a sound design job. Stop trying to do that in your pop songs. But man, introducing the listener into the story world that you're doing in a cinematic and visual, auditory visual sort of way is like, if you can do that in, how long does the intro to Wuthering Heights take? It's 2 bars or 4 bars, depending on how you count it. But like, that's a really successful example of like, you're in it, especially once she starts doing that voice thing that she does. And that's right off the top too. So the tactic of real fast introducing and induction into the world of the song at the top there.
Yes. Also, Leaf Blower. Damn it, thoughts gone again. I never did. Maybe I need more coffee. Thanks, Frank. Yeah. Okay, it's gone. Somebody else. Fuck. Oh no, wait. So one thing about the chorus idea is that if I use that sound, that crazy fucking sound, it's often in the intro, like, hello, this is the song, Here's that crazy fucking sound, which is then used predominantly in the chorus. Like it's a sound in the chorus. So in that aspect, yes, I use stuff from the chorus. I often have a specific outro that will usually sometimes be the intro, because I like to give people the feeling that I am taking you from a place, I'm taking you on a journey, and then I am putting you back at that place. And when you go back at that place, you are enriched. And I stole that idea from someone, so I can't take credit. But yeah, it's, you know, and Brett, that sort of ties into the conversation of the, you know, that crazy piece of sound. And, you know, ABBA always goes back to ABBA, man. Like their idea was, and Gabriel did this, Peter Gabriel does this as well, is that if it's a great idea, play it a few times. If it's an amazing idea, you play it twice. If it is a standout sound or standout idea, once. And a lot of what Peter Gabriel does is you hear it once. Yeah. So there you go. It's so loud here today. Is anyone? Oh, Razi, talk to me.
I actually didn't have my hand up for a reason there in the Zoom interface, but I do love this entire topic of, you know, I mean, boiling it down to how to construct a song that matches an idea and what arranging even means. I'm not feeling particularly sharp on contributing specifics to it.
Yeah.
I got really wrapped up in that one song this morning when I listened to it on the podcast. And
that's awesome, because it's a reminder that that it's those songs that you've been listening to your whole life that you don't actually hear what's going on, because they are so amazing. And then you hear a really good cover of it that don't do that stuff, and you go, that's why the cover isn't as good, because something fucking amazing happens. Like they have literally drawn on a like the song is this long, they have literally drawn a line of dynamics, and then they filled that in, they colored by numbers that line of dynamics with instrumentation.
Yeah.
Frank agrees. And then at the very end, we want it to go off into space, so everything falls out and the strings just dissipate, or something like that.
One of the little magic things to do with that idea at the top of the song is to leave the outline in place that's going to get filled in later. And there's a million ways of doing that. But again, this is a reference to what I was listening to this morning. It's like, if there's always going to be something that you developed later in the song that you can then drop back at the head that's going to allude to the chord progression, or, you know, maybe be a variation on the hook, but not be it. So it's like maybe a bit of a minimalism or subtraction kind of tactic. But that argument of like, do you want to give it away at the top? Do you want to like just state your hook and be done with it as a pop song? Or do you want to be like a little bit more circumspect and give people a brief way of using their imagination to fill in those spaces? I'm kind of usually err on the latter. I don't know if it's healthy or not, but
just before I love to Carrie, I'm just reading that she tornado passed through where she is. 2 tornadoes have gone through where Carrie is, so sending you love, Carrie. It's Carrie, actually I was hoping they'd be joining us today, but I don't know, hoping it's okay. What's fascinating is the way that, you know, it's really hard, because there comes a point where you've got to say, I've got all these cool ideas, but you've got to stop. And you've got to think, what is a great way to color this song in? Like to make that line and to color that line, to shape it. And how can you do it interestingly? Like, you know, Brett was talking about interesting samples or whatever. Like, what's something that you can do that is, and that's comes back to playing with sound design and playing with this and that. And also, man, I got to tell you, less is more. Less is fucking more. That synthesizer's got fantastic reverb. Turn the damn reverb off. Actually, so I'm fucking with the SteamPipe And the great thing about the SteamPipe is you can assign the send to the reverb send to a controller. And so that's been really fun, is as the sound intenses, you turn up whatever the controller for turning up everything goes, and that might be turning up the filter, turning up an LFO and something, turning up the harshness. Plus, you know, the SteamPipe's normally mono. So as soon as you hit that thing that turns up the reverb, the whole thing just swells up like this. That sort of thing's really fun because you get a really huge emotional response. What do you think, Ivan?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking about intros, and yeah, back in the 2000s, I was making a lot of machinima videos and working at Midway Games, where the head video guy was essentially my video instructor. Um, and one of the important things that really sticks with me that he said back in the day was, don't fall in love with your footage. Like, like this part is too long because you fell in love with your footage. Shorten it. You learn to edit this down. Um, and that has been valuable ever since. Um, at the same time, I was at who did I see last night? Uh, Choke Chain. Went to the show last night. Saw Choke Chain. He's actually pretty damn good. In a like early frontline assembly sort of way. Um, and he will occasionally though, like he will leave parts that just run on forever. Like to the point where like it occurred to me watching like him in the audience and myself, everybody in the room, where it was just like there is there's like a balancing point where like there's enough stimming going on to make the autistic people in the audience happy, and it's still just short enough to not bore the other people. And when you like get onto that balance point just right, it's freaking gold.
That's awesome. Thank you. I like that. When you say early frontline assembly, are you talking like tactical neural implant or before that?
Before that,
Wow. So we're talking like cyberpunk,
yeah,
dude.
it's really he's good.
Love me some cyberpunk. Thank you. Bert, what do you think about this?
The less is more comment. I had thought about that. You're right, and I'll also say more is more as well. And they have two different purposes. And I've been, and this has kind of come, or been relearned on my own of sorts lately. Lately, I've been doing mostly instrumentals. The same techniques don't work for instrumentals. It's kind of like Ice Planet versus Angelspit. You've got to leave room for everything, but something's got to fill that space at the same time. And I guess where I'm coming to is it's more about a balance. It's definitely the mix. There's things that we talk about mechanically, but at the end of the day, you're still trying to take the listener through some sort of ride, some sort of journey, some sort of path, and so you need the appropriate elements to tell the story, I think.
Okay, thank you. I would like everybody to throw in a song that they think is an excellent arrangement. And we're talking about the actual instrumentation itself. Additional points are awarded. You know what? I'm not going to bias this. If I was going to throw one in, it would be Wuthering Heights. And actually, in the comments, if somebody wants to go finding it and we'll start pasting them in there, that would be great. Alex, what do you think?
For me, it would probably be Radio Video by System of a Down, because I feel like the parts are so different but flow into each other so beautifully and so smoothly that that's it for me. That's the one.
Thank you. Could you do me a favor and give me the send me a URL, a video link to that one. Just the song. Thank you. Does anybody else want to jump in there?
Was I zoning out when you specified if we're talking about form or instrumental arrangement?
Instrumental arrangement.
Okay, I'll think.
Anyone? 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 Okay,
Bueller.
another. Brett, go.
I was going Bueller. I was actually hunting for a song for you here to paste in, but along the same lines of that, you can get away with a lot more density if you use short sounds versus long pads. Those hits and whatnot, especially if they're tonal, you can get away with a lot more density and a lot more energy without making it too muddy. The longer sounds that take up the whole sonic space, you got to watch those.
Very true. Thank you very much. Does anybody else want to jump in with the song here, or wow, this is just such the fizzer. Total fizzerdom. Okay, that didn't work.
I have
go.
too many to land on.
Well,
one.
say
It's
one.
a
Give
huge
me a
challenge.
moment.
I keep thinking of like U2's first 3 albums for some reason. I don't know why. As far as I don't know, rock songs keep coming to mind, like Beatles and U2.
Great.
Like something
Tell
about-
me the damn song. Put it in the comment and let me know. Hold on, Alex is giving me a link. Yeah, this is about enrichment. This is really not going in as exciting as I thought it would be. Alex, Frank, Alex, talk to me.
I feel like the best arrangement are those that you don't realize are there because they're just so smooth and so natural that they're not in your mind, so you don't notice them. Usually, that's my philosophy.
Have an example? Do you have an example of a song that is like that?
No, because as I said, it's probably just does its job so well that you don't notice that it's arranged. You just go with the flow of the music and vibe. I don't know.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Portishead Roads, thank you. And also, I put in there Paradise Lost, Paradise Circus by Massive Attack. Anything by Massive Attack. Okay, Cyclone 9's Catastrophic, thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to change subject because it's just not rocking. How do you get inspired to start songwriting again? We touched on this. I want to touch back on it. I want to touch it again. I want to touch it again. Brad, hit me.
For me, most recently, it was, just to get the ball rolling, I used a chord generator / rhythm generator. Threw in the notes that I wanted to play with. Initially, I thought I wanted to play with it on guitar, so the notes I put in were, G, A predominantly. And I said, hit the random button. Nope, don't like that. Hit the random button. Nope, don't like that. Kept on doing that until I found something I like, and then dropped the guitar altogether. Never even picked it up. Went completely sideways with a bunch of other sounds.
That's great. Thank you. Raziel, what do you think?
If I had a solution that worked, I'm going to pretend I do. I would say go back to my little collection of sort of fundamentals. Like here's a cadence and key change I've always wanted to work into a song. Here's the example of the song that did it successfully. How can I make this my own and do it in a way that doesn't just simply mimic what's going on there. And then secondarily, the same collection of like just chord progressions that I think are really evocative and that I might be able to come up with a melody for. And like, once the melody goes on top of it, change the harmony to match that. I've done it a few times, like successfully. That's been like, oh, I got some ideas and experimenting. And it's like a different mindset than I have to write a song. It's like, here's a specific task to get into and explore with ideas that you've already proven to yourself that are interesting because you wrote them down because they were.
Brilliant. Thank you. Ivan, how do you do it?
Like identify the thing that is that's holding you up, and then ruthlessly cut the hell out of your life. It definitely has it's an idea that has a place. Get because like when you're getting all like busyfied or stressed out for no particular reason, one of the things that gets taken away is your ability to like just fuck around and find out. And like where inspiration lives.
Yes, it does. It really does. Thank you. I just want to really acknowledge there's some great conversation going in here in the chats. Jen and Adam and Eliza and Alistair. Great, thank you. I find if the mojo is bad, put on a suit, get dressed up, look great, look hot, do your nails, do your hair, get a visual book, go to a cafe. And it's going to be a cafe where you can hear conversation or jump on a bus or a train or something. But I find cafes are great. And you are going to allow yourself, I will allow myself the dignity, the indulgence of having several coffees, several fucking mochas. So I'm Wyatt. And I'm flipping through this book. And the objective of the exercise is to come up with a story, because you're going to be around people talking. And these people over here are talking about work sucks, bitching about their boyfriends, pitching a thing. Here's an interesting observation, is that when I first moved to LA, you'd walk into a cafe and every second table, people were pitching. They were pitching a movie, they were pitching something. Not anymore. It's really weird. When I walk into a place, people aren't pitching anymore. Well, they are, but there's not as many. I used to love them. That was exciting because you just sit there and you just kind of, because there's an overflow of inspiration and creative energy. And it's like, I'm just going to sit here and I'm eating the crumbs and it's just fine. You take a graphic book or something cool and just be flipping through it. So your brain is getting this visual input, your ears are hearing stuff, a pen and a piece of paper. Leave your phone at home if you can, so you're off the internet. You don't exist, man. You're a ghost. You're a good-looking ghost who's very caffeinated. Write stuff down. Just sit there and write. And for me, I have to come up with, I need an idea. I really need an idea. I need to know, here comes a rant. It's like this. You need water. Speaking spiritually woo-woo now, you need water. But there's no clouds, you don't have any water. So you have to induce the sky to rain. So you have to figure out how to make the sky rain. Next, you've got to catch the rain. When it finally fucking rains, you got to catch it. You got to purify it. You got to bottle it. You got to stick a label on it. And you got to get it to the people. That's the process of making music. And every one of those processes are very arduous. They suck, frankly. So I am currently at but the thing I've learned that is, if you've got a cool idea for that water, if it is imbued with something magical, if it's got a cool label, if the idea behind the water itself, besides I'm thirsty, if there is an idea driving this, that you are imbuing it with magical powers of inspiration or resistance or fucking something, that energy will go all the way through the process, to the label, to the way it's marketed, the whole way, all the way through it. And that's the thing that I find with music, is that you need to, I must have a driving idea behind the album. And currently I'm forever inspired about late 80s, early 90s cyberpunk, because, that's my jam. But it's also it's looking at the golden ghetto that was Gibson-esque cyberpunk, and it's looking at that brave new dystopia. That I find that is an idea that's endlessly interesting to me, and you can dig into that forever, and there'll still be stuff there. It's about building a world. That's what I think it is. And when I have an idea of a glimpse of that world, the lyrics start molding to that world. Of course, it's dystopia. Of course, it's fucking dystopia. Then the music comes. And the great thing is that if you have a concept about that, if you know where it's set, if you know what the city looks like, you can hear the background sound behind it. Because if the sky is orange or looks like it's a TV tuned to a dead channel, it's got a sound. You can hear that. So there's the sound. If the city is in decay and ruin and it smells like sewer and garbage that hasn't been cleaned up because the garbage are on strike and have been for 30 years and it's all broken down, that's got a sound as well. These are suggesting sounds. And from that sound and that emotion, and I'm kind of getting inspired right now, you start building a world and you start building a city and you start building the sound design. And you might come out of this saying, everything at the front, no reverb, but it's really sparse. It might be kick, snare, Depeche Mode on, I think it was everything, Construction Time, again, they said no hi-hats. Well, you have just freed up a whole bunch of sonic space if there's no hi-hats. So if you have a kick and snare only and a bass and then a vocal, and then behind that is a cityscape with massive long reverbs, this huge fucking space with the shit in front of you that is dead bone dry. That's getting interesting. And this shit back here, it's not sidechained to anything. It's just there. That's an interesting concept. So there it is. And by me saying that, the sounds are so predominant, you can see them and you can smell them. That's what I fucking need. Razi, what are your thoughts?
I always have an amount of envy for your visceral clarity on some of these things, my friend. I think it's fantastic, and I have no fucking idea how you could possibly get dressed up and go to a cafe and have a single thought in your head. As a person who is very susceptible to the sounds around me, I live with headphones on so fucking much, and it really gets in the way of that kind of stuff, like having your internal clarity. I've moved on to using ambient noises in the headphones from time to time. That's of limited utility or really, really, really minimal, more minimal than Eno kind of tones and music and stuff to little success. But I'm constantly distracting myself with what's being played in the headphones and isolating me from the random noises that tend to distract me and intrude on my internal state that I'm trying to build. So the one place that I have been able to find it, and I don't know if you can adapt this to one's own funsies, I get on the motorcycle at night. That's like the one. I'm not going to use headphones on the motorcycle. I'm not going to listen to a podcast or music and be, fortunately, Boston's a pretty sleepy place and the streets are quite dead. It is not quite like it was in 2020 this time of year. I don't know if your city was like that, but the streets were abandoned and everything was dead, and it was the most cyberpunk thing I've ever done in my life and probably will ever do. But to tool around a dead city, a little, the motorcycle with the helmet down and, having Gibson visions. That's like the kind of moment of being with myself. Like you do have to concentrate and you do have to stay alert, but at least the randomized and sort of intrusive snippets of stuff that would take me out of it they're far away. Helmets on, noise of the engine's pretty loud, don't hear the other stuff, focused on the next thing that comes ahead. I think there's probably some sports things that are like that, and maybe running or something for people, but then you're listening to headphones. I don't know, it's crazy. I've tried to go to cafes and sit with creativity, and I really, really, really do find the external stimuli to be just detrimental. They ruin it for me. I wish I could own that. How do you do it?
Okay, thank you. Ivan, I see your hand. I'm going to throw this to you in a second. First suggestion is take earplugs, because it's going to drop things just enough so you can deal with everything. Second suggestion, embrace that shit. Take your headphones. If you've got a little recorder, like a Zoom recorder or something, take that, sit it on the table, put it into record, and listen to what's going on around you through your headphones. And it becomes, or walk around with headphones, listening to what is going on with headphones, and it becomes bizarre and abstract. It literally sounds like a movie because that's fucking movies. Yeah, that's my thing, is that if there's headphones on, automatically I am now synchronized, quantized to whatever is coming through those headphones. So if it's earplugs, that's why I will, because I'm like you, man, I can't fucking stand cling, 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 yap, 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 drives me mad, but I need that. You could use that as to get the fire started. If it's too much, plugs, and a sound safari. Oh my God, dude, go on a fucking sound safari for the album. It's so remarkably, wonderfully fantastic. Just go on a fucking sound safari. Or get a big tote bag, walk around your block, get a whole bunch of junk, take it home and record it. Then throw it away. Go through the trash or something, whatever. You're going to create sounds that nobody else in the whole wide world's got. You are going to get into the true ethos of what the fuck we do, industrial music, which is fucking sampling. And also, as you're doing it, you're starting to build and inspire your mind to create these sounds. And you might go, you know what, I'm going to keep this thing and I'm going to play it live during the song. Which is a bit of a fucking trap, because I've got so much crap in this house that I used it on 5 albums ago. This random piece of steel, and I've still got it. Or build an instrument. Ivan, go.
Hey, your description of the Gibson-esque cyberpunk city was actually quite inspiring. After we're done here, I got some stuff to write. Also, the going to the cafe. I am absolutely 100% certain that David Lynch would be 100% on board with this idea. He would love it, or he would have loved it. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts on that one. Like, I'm absolutely certain that he'd be on board with that. Also, like, yeah, LA has there's been a subtle change there, particularly, as since 2020. Because like I can vividly remember pre-2020 LA, like you'd go someplace and there were pitch meetings happening around you everywhere. It was kind of like going to San Francisco, back in the mid, 2015-ish era, when you could go to a freaking coffee shop and there'd be the San Francisco version of a pitch meeting, which involved, we're going to set up an app to do blah. And like some specialist for getting through the VC funding was sitting there telling them how to do this, how to get their money. You haven't gotten to take part yet, but we play this game, me and my wife, where we try to imagine a like how Hollywood would approach remaking a movie these days, and who we'd cast as in parts for it. And usually the goal is to make the other people in the game cringe as much as possible, while still being actually kind of it being plausible. And like we used to play this game like just all the time. We were on vacation in LA. This was just before pandemic, and we were sitting amongst all these people doing their pitches to each other. And we started playing the game. And that was when I came up with Leonardo DiCaprio and Paris Hilton starring in a remake of Breakfast at Tiffany with George Takei as the upstairs neighbor. Highly cringeworthy. I kind of won for a while with that one. But then we noticed that the people around us had kind of stopped what they were doing and they were paying a lot of attention to our conversation. At which point we realized that perhaps what we were doing was a little dangerous there because we could accidentally end up seeing the movie that we just described.
Yeah. This is really fun. I love this. This is great. So you could play that with your album too. You could say, if I could have any keyboard player or guitarist or drummer, who would it be? Then, and if you can't get them, how can you emulate what they're doing? Above and beyond sampling, like, you know, how can you inject, and that's another really important thing about, you know, this album that we're talking about up in the air right now, which I think when I listen back to this, I'm going to be taking notes as well, is that it is suggesting a lot of live instrumentation. Like it's suggesting a lot of live stuff. It's suggesting very Neuenbarten-esque. And it's funny that Mike from VideoPunk sent me these 8-hour long play video cassettes of totally random shit. And one of them is the Neuenbarten live in 86 or whatever. That fucking amazing concert with his Buto and it's all fucking madness. And I just play that shit in the background and drink. I just fucking drink. But my point is, the lovely thing about this ethos, about these ideas, about the book that you are, the concept you are coming up with, is it is suggesting instrumentation. And it's also suggesting to me a way that the lyrics are delivered too. Like, is it, you know, when you read the opening title of Neuromancer or whatever, is it a really quiet whispered thing? Is it screamed at you? Is it, what is it? Is it so frustrated? Is it, and this is obviously, I'm talking about the album now and I'm not talking about Neuromancer. That is talking about the vocal delivery. Is it right in your ear and is it whispering something really fucked up? And is it, would it be really cool, for example, where you've got this song, we were just talking about instrumentation and the person's singing and you make the instrumentation and you record it on a, just the instrumentation track, bear with me, this is going to make sense, and you record it on a fucking little ghetto blaster and you set up a mic and you're 50 feet away on the street and you're recording the sound of the street and you walk towards it while you're playing the instrumental, gets closer. So you're standing right in front of the mic with the instrumentation of what's going on in the song, and then you fade into the actual instrumentation track itself. So it comes on the street to you. And shit like that's really fucking cool, because if you're sitting here going, I'm on my computer, I'm on my door, blah, 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 fuck, I hate that shit. And that's me, by the way. This is forcing you to get out of the house and to do something that, oh, they did that shit in the 60s and 70s. Great. Do it now. Don't emulate it. Go out and fucking do it. That's exciting. Alex, talk to me.
Do I say what I originally wanted to say, or do I just yes and?
Yes and say original. Go, baby. Floor's yours.
So Angelspit and Neuenbarten have like these statues of metal in every major town where they play. So they have like these little hidden spots where there's like steel drums and containers for liquids and airplane parts and whatever. And usually sometimes they're gone and usually they're still there. And I also have a problem with just keeping things to do something with in the future at some date, but I never do. Like I have this bottle for like 5 years now that I wanted to sample, but I never do because I never say now's the time to sample that damn bottle and throw it away.
Do it today.
Yeah, do it today after your pizza and beer. If
It's-
I could,
it's-
If I
It's
can,
300 kilometers away, but I will do one day next time.
Excuses,
Close to
excuses.
the button.
Get
If
on a
I-
plane.
if I could make a suggestion, with all of this stuff, put a tag on it or write on it, physically write on it, a use by date.
Ah.
So whatever today is, 6 months time, you're throwing it out. Because what is it with fucking electronic musicians and hoarders? Like, why are we all fucking hoarding them? Oh, I've got all these cables and I got this broken thing that I'm gonna fix one day.
To be fair, some guitarists have like 60 guitars. So
Yeah, absolutely. But my thing is that that there's a hoarding thing of bizarre pieces of junk. Like, you know, when I lived in Australia, I had like 3 or 4 acoustic guitars that I found by the side of the road, and oh yeah, I'm going to do something with those things one day. Nah. And then as soon as you throw them away, it happened to me like 3 times this year so far. Yes. Super Tablespoon, welcome. Trauma equals hoarding too. Oh, that's good. Confluence of habits. Sampling birds. Buying an old mic box to record Thank you very much. Also, thank you, Super Tablespoon. Also, build a talk box. They're great. Build a talk box. They're simple, cheap. Build a talk box.
Did you see that new blue one with the LEDs? It's like really solid. It was nice. I forget who the company. It wasn't Heil or MXR. It was like a really large one with a couple of knobs. Anyway,
Wow.
just saw that since you
Cool.
mentioned it. It was a good sounding one.
I approve. Thank you. Alex, did you want to add anything else?
yes, in terms of just doing the old ways, I've been eyeing the not latest, but the one the for Porter Studio, because it's like digital, but you can MIDI sync, I think. And I thought it would always be cool to use it, but I could never justify it just because it's like 400 euros or something.
How big is it? Oh, fucking hell.
It's like a small mixing desk with like, I don't know, 8 channels or something.
Zoom does, is it Zoom? Does a 2-track, a 2-unit high 20-channel thing, and it's a multi-channel recorder. And it's a mixer, and you've got a little app, but it's also a multi-channel recorder, which is handy. But it's sort of, I'm going to a gig and I'm going to record all this shit, which is great, but there's better ways of doing it, I think. And it's quite inexpensive. We're talking about gear. Thank you, Alex. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So, did you want to add anything else? Okay. Does anybody else want to add anything else before we descend into the inevitability of talking about gear?
2 things. Most of the stuff that we hoard as electronic musicians are like, I might need this capacitor. It's really small. You can just put it in a little box, and that box goes in a little drawer, and that drawer goes in a little cabinet, and the cabinet sits in the back of your studio, and it only takes up like, 16, 20 cubic feet, and then that's it. Just keep it to that. And the second thing is fucking Alex doing the thing on the JX8Ps. It's like, oh, now I want to go. Well, I'm filled with regret for having sold the one that I had for like 20 years. Like, why did I even get rid of it? What was the main thing that I gained from removing that from my life instead of just leaving it in a stack of taking up one of the walls? Like, there's,
Okay, Ivan, are you rubbing your face right now because you're going, yeah, thinking of all it? Yeah, you are. All right, so here's a trick that I've noticed with, is that I will say nothing beats the fucking choruses. But nothing beats the choruses of those things. Jesus Christ.
3P and 8P specifically, or
also the 106, Jupiter 8, all of them. They're so good, and apparently they're so good because they fuck the circuit. It's overloaded or something, and it's a busted circuit. It's not perfect, so it's fucking great. Same with the mode. It's all overclocked or something. The trick I've noticed with a lot of that stuff is you've got to watch it and you go, okay, with what I have now, how can I create something similar? Like, how can I build something similar? And also the thing I love about Vulture Culture stuff is the conversation that's going on in the background and all the drinking. It's really good. It's endlessly fun. Razzie, talk to me.
I don't think that you can call up a VST to emulate what it did. What it did was take up a huge slab of silver plastic painted space, and the aftertouch is a little bit like dodgy, and it goes clack when you hit the full velocity. When you're really trying to get up the dynamics full.
When you said clack, every single one of us heard that exact sound.
Yes.
And we know what it sounds like. And it's
one
a
of
good
the
clack.
One of the cheeks was loose so that it actually rattled
Yeah.
a little bit because the standoff broke and the screw was cross-threaded.
And the bottom C was extra clacky because that's the one everyone hits.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The little, the padding on the keypad had gone. Yeah. Those are the things that those are the sense memories that I had as he's talking about the thing. He's like, he's got a programmer on it, and he's got the thing, an object in his room, and he's moving the faders and that vacuum fluorescent display and the amount of physical space that it takes up. These are the things that you can't call up on a VST. You can get the sound. There's a lot of choruses that are going to increase the bass and be a little bit distorted and go at about the speed of some of the Roland choruses or a Dimension D or something, but they're not it. And there's a lot of pictures of that synth on your screen that look like a picture of that synth, but it's not taking up the physical space, and you can't lean on it and notice the panel gaps and the things like that. It's the physical presence.
My first real memory of that synth was when I was in a band with Lux Voltaire, the amazing genius Lux Voltaire from Australia, and we were in a band called Pig Iron Twitch, and that was a fucking brutal band. And Damien, aka Lux, had, besides every other synth ever made, had a fucking, I think he's still got it, a the fucking wires, man. Don't hoard the wires. Sorry, I'm reading the comments, Silver Spoon. Yes, Lux is very cool. Do a deep dive into Lux Voltaire, man. It's a good journey. I remember his fucking JX8, and I just remember it as being this beautiful work of art. Like you look at that synth and it's beautiful. It's really fucking pretty. And just the curvy bits, and nothing else had a screen display like it. And it was just a lovely, lovely device. And the sound was pretty good. Pretty good. But that's the thing, is that you've got to, I'm a really big believer is that you look at and everyone's looking at JX8Ps right now. Fucking hell, they were so cheap a while back. One of the guys on the chat the other night said he got a JX8P and one other guy bought it at that moment during the stream. He bought it's like fucking hell, because every time Alex does a synth, the prices go up on retail.
Yeah, that's the thing. He gets a bump. I will say my road case for the 8P was more expensive than the 8P itself, for sure.
Yeah.
And shipping was more than buying it. So at the time.
But some guy on there was saying how he got a 10. I've always wanted a JX10. And a JX3P, an 8. So the 10 and the 8 for like $900, $1,000 or something. Fuck. But anyway, the trick is you listen to them and you go, with what I have, how can I create something similar? Like the fucking, how can I create something similar? And that's, the good thing about having a good, decent synth that can create any of that shit. It's a good thing, because you have to be, and then watch videos about the stuff you already own. And then always, always, if you don't use it, like, what's the period of time you don't use a keyboard for that you go, okay, I'm selling this fucking thing now? How long is that?
It's like 20, 30 years.
Yeah, 20, 30 years. That's fair enough. Okay, great. Change conversation quickly.
It hasn't happened for me yet. I'm still hoarding them.
Yeah.
Have the caps started to swell?
Okay.
No, I gotta contest that. These the tantalum caps in that thing are all, every single one of the 500 of them are all exploded. So it's staying until those get replaced. Actually, not a reason to get rid of it.
Excellent. Yeah. Oh, good fun. does anybody else want to jump in, talk about something else?
I'm actually pretty good at throwing away wires, if that is actually a thing that was on the agenda. There is a system to that.
Please, what the
I
hell
mean,
is it?
Every once in a while, I go through them and I think, is this a thing that I have? And by once in a while, I mean maybe every 10 years. Is this a thing that I actually have a connector for to plug it into? And if it's no, then I put it aside as the example of that thing, because I might have a thing with a connector for that. Who knows? A 25 pin Centronics or one of those little thin DB multi pins that go on the back of old Avid Pro Tools original gear or something. Keep one. And if I find another one, it goes in the trash immediately. Find another duplicate. Just maybe there's a special one that's got a right angle connector. I'll keep two. One with the straight plug and one with the right angle connector. And then, oh no, there's an extra short one, but it's got the extra flexible cable. So maybe I'm going to keep 3. And then basically you just end up not throwing much out. That's the whole trick. That's all there is to it. Thank you.
That's perfect.
That's my TED Talk. I received my time.
That's great. And I'd like to give you a Nobel Prize. Alex, can you follow that up?
Universal Audio or someone, if you're listening, I think what we need is a channel strip and a multi-track recorder in one thing, so you just can record through this channel strip and then multi-track it and do it without a computer with big buttons and big dials. I think that would be up. And MIDI and analog clock, please. That would be great.
Thank you very much. I'm just actually getting the URL for Lux Voltaire. Fucking crazy. Damien's output it's ridiculous. And what's on this is his Bandcamp. That's half of it. That's fucking half of it. Like really, really good shit. Really fucking good shit. He's the funniest bastard you've ever met. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, Alex, top job. I'm sort of at a really weird space right now. I don't have anything on my list to talk about. Does anyone want to bring up a topic or ask about something else or talk more about Mojo? Maybe. Anyone?
Putting on the hat and Mojo suit. They were in the chat, what they've scrolled off a long while ago, and I loved both of those phrases.
Yeah, putting on that hat. Okay, well, this is that very weird moment where I go, well, fuck it, we're out of ideas. Do you just want to get the fuck out of here? Or does somebody want to talk about gear? Does Ivan want to talk about gear? Do we want to sit here and listen to Ivan talking about gear? Or anyone?
Hey, I'm currently in a no new gear mode.
Okay.
Although I gotta say, the SteamPipe is looking like a good piece of equipment.
It's a good piece of equipment. If you've got a K2000, do you want me to continue my SteamPipe rant? Okay. You're going to be using it. I've been talking to the, and fuck you, Alex, for talking me, Vulture Culture, for talking me into buying the fucking thing. It's really interesting synth. I'm actually now talking to Erica. Well, I think a lot of people are suggesting options for firmware updates. When you're using it, you're going to have the manual on your lap. You're going to be asking, what the fuck is this thing doing? Like, what is going on here? Because you do something and it's the most boring sound you've ever heard, and then you twitch it that much and it's like, what the fuck? It's nothing does what this thing does. And it doesn't do what anything else does. So if you want, and remember, what it does is a really specific, so as far as Ice Planet 9000, oh my God, yeah. As far as massive fucking clouds of darkness with ridiculous reverb, yes. But now I'm asking it, and what's interesting is that the presets on it, they're not overwhelmed with, here's the crazy shit you can do with it. They're mainly, here's an amazing pan pipe or something that sounds like a pipe. When you start getting into this stuff, well, if you are playing metal and you overblow metal, what does that sound like? Excuse me. That's where it's really interesting. So I'm now fucking with what really harsh sounds can this provide for Angelspit that are not, and for fuck's sake, don't rely on its epic reverb, because if you do, I think you're falling short of what's actually going. The sound's got to sound good without reverb. But for fuck's sake, use the reverb. Oh my god, yeah. And when it's short, it's great. When it's long, it's insane. And when it's in the middle, it's beautiful. Program without reverb. It does shit that nothing else does. And it's constantly, you do something and it doesn't change. Then you do something else and then you go back and do that thing again. It totally fucking changes. I'm trying to figure out how to make it not sound like a one trick pony. For me, I keep going back to the K2000, how it's not really fair for me to compare it to the K2000 because the K2000 is so versatile. It's insane. It's insane. And I keep listening to it going, could I have done this? Could I have achieved this with the K2000? Believe it or not, no. Actually, maybe something similar. It's definitely not... It's not an analog. It can't do it. It sits beautifully with an analog synth. It's definitely not a fucking DX FM thing. It's totally different. Like it is a fuck around and find out machine. Because you can look at a DX7 algorithm and you can roughly say what it is. You can see the knobs of an analog synth and you got a fair idea what that's going to sound like. On this thing, no. So if you can use it, get one. But if you want something that's just going to make super fucked up shit, I'm always going to say get a K2000 because they're so cheap. And you're going to spend... A K2000 is a lifelong relationship. That there's so much you can do. Like, still, oh my god. And then you drench it in reverb and it's ambient music. Blah. Alex, what do you think?
I think the thing with those 90s digital synthesizers is that they sound very much like their time, because unless today people had to optimize the shit out of the code to make it real-time playable, and I feel like this often added to a sound. Because there's often like not jank, but a certain character, I don't know. Today everything is smooth and that's great also, but yeah.
That's really, I agree with that. And just, that's what's crazy about this fucking SteamPipe is that it is kind of smooth. And if I could hear a 90s version of a Carpless Strong sound generator, that would be fascinating because you'd probably be hearing the digital grit in it. And that's the thing about the Kurzweil is that maybe it's not digital grit, but it's a pretty fucking crappy. It was designed in 88, so it's got a Motorola piece of shit chip in it. And it still does all that stuff. And I totally agree, man. When you listen to the K2700, it's like, nah, too smooth. You've lost the edge. It's gone. Razzie, go.
I would add that it's the analog part of the signal path inside the K2000 that does it, because the effects are distortable, the DOD or whatever Digitech effects. It's not the low processor capacity, but the fact that it's got a gritty signal path, like a really crusty, true.
Yeah.
Digital to analog to digital, back to, whatever it does.
Yeah, true. And and you can overdrive the K2000 as well. And you can overdrive it within itself, and then it's got distortion as well. And the distortion actually sounds really good. But you can overdrive it and it sounds great. It's got like 18 dB headroom or something, like fucking nuts. And then you can keep pushing it. And like you said, man, there's a big analog component in it. So you're hearing analog distortion. Often, sometimes it's digital, and you'll hear that awfulness. And that's back in the days when digital distortion was awful. But the Kurzweil doing its, the distorter algorithms on it, they're great. So yeah, and I'm always dumbstruck at how people don't understand, and they sell them so fucking cheap. Like they don't like it's and everyone's looking for the prices on it's such a fucking good synthesizer. So good. Yeah, it's madness. Anyway, and it's really, like I did that K2000 video fucking 7 years ago. It was pre-pandemic, and like very pre-pandemic. And I am still getting people going, oh, I watched this and I pulled my K2000 out of storage and it's the best thing I've done in 5 years. Because it's awesome. And in answer to your very funny comment, Diana, I think the SteamPipe actually does have an ocarina in it, and it sounds great. Because the SteamPipe specializes in plucked and blown instruments, and it's very nice. And the way it achieves it is nuts. And the thing that it does to it is wild, really fucking wild. And that's what's crazy about it, is that theoretically, when you look at the signal path, it could probably do so much stuff. Blah, I don't know. If you wanted to get a SteamPipe, I highly recommend read the manual. Also, because you're going to be fucking studying that thing, watch a lot of videos, watch a lot of people talking about it. And I have a theory that there's going to be a lot of SteamPipes secondhand soon, because people are going to get sick of it. They're going to go, I don't know why I bought this fucking thing. They're going to be saying I can't get more than one sound out of it, because people don't really like programming. So I sure haven't seen very many SteamPipe fucking presets. I'm sure they're out there. Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out how many they made. Oh, they're still making them, I guess. Anyway, yeah, synths. Fascinating, man. This is how we reach enlightenment, through synths, and it is. Which we were talking about last week. All right, come on, give me another topic. What's your favorite synth? Go, Razi.
You said go and then said the thing about synth. My favorite synth was the Memory Moog. It may still be, but since I don't have one,
there's a lot of heartbreak behind that.
For me personally,
yeah, I can hear it.
Sound a little sad, I know.
It's the one that got away.
It really is. I never owned this one. It was in my studio for a good 15 years, and the person that owned it needed to really utilize the value within the machine more than the creative value, the monetary value. But that's not what the topic was that I was going to bring up. Can I pivot?
Please.
If I may. I've been mixing a lot of headset mic, 2 people, 3 people standing right next to each other, and just listening to the mess that the phase makes when they appear in each other's mics. And, the usual rule of thumb is something like 6 decibels down won't really cause too much of a problem, but it does. And when you've got one loud singer next to a quiet talker, it compounds it. And then if they face each other and the mic is sticking out wrong. So I've really been tuned into this sound of people appearing with phase problems from another mic, and then sort of, I'll bring the faders down, but then you miss a word. So it's a little long story of describing why my ear has been on this. And what it does translate into in the music making sense is I've been listening to rooms and mics and headphone bleed and stuff in soloed vocal tracks from famous songs for years, and really focusing on that. And some of those crappy, weird, phasey noise from the headphones, noise from a small room kind of vocals are fucking terrific anyway. So if there's a topic here, if there isn't a topic here, then that's the end of the conversation. Fine. If there's a topic here of really jacked up vocals that you have fallen in love with anyway in a song, or you didn't realize how messed they were until you heard the isolated track, and then you're like, oh my God, that is fine. How did they get away with it? And maybe if that's informed you in your own work, how to shut the fuck up and just record the vocals and get a great performance and don't worry about this. There's something interesting to think about anyway, if not an actual discussion.
Ivan, talk to me.
Been spending a lot of quality time with my Korg Mod Wave, which is, more than able to make very good sounding patches. Patches they just sound nice. You like them. They're good. And then I run that through my Fairfield pedal. It adds radio noise to it and stuff. And the patch goes from like, wow, that sounds good, to, whoa, that sounds freaking amazing. Mostly by just kind of overdriving the Korg. I don't have to use a lot of the radio features, but like just get like letting it do the handle overdriving it just really makes it better.
Thank you. Can somebody remind me about pedals and stuff? Because I'm going to forget. I want to talk about that. So Rezi, I have so much trouble with phasing. Like when I'm doing live shows and stuff, I have so much trouble with fucking phasing. I will often invert one of the mics, phase invert it, but whether that helps or not, I just don't.
180 is not usually the right phase to flip it, depending on their proximity, and they're moving and the volumes are changing.
I sometimes will put a delay on the mic, on the actual channel at the top. I'll put a delay, like it's there, and that's how I can combat it. But then you get this really weird thing that if somebody is moving between, then it's going to chorus. So and it's really hard when somebody's wearing a headset or a lav or a fucking forward mic and they're talking to each other.
The lavs being omni and like just the same distance from the two people.
Oh God. Yeah. I did a show a while back where we had face mics and I didn't know they were omni lavs. I thought they were directional lavs. And I'm always put it on the right side, literally the right side of your face kind of guy. So if two people are talking, but these things were so fucking omni. And it's like, I got to the point where I was trying to mute them, but with the dialogue, it's like, oh, fuck. But no, man, I don't know. And in the studio, if it's bad, I'll use different mics. And that's also why I love 58s. 58s and 57s is they don't phase so bad. Like fucking, anyway, that's my thing. Flipping over to, this is another fun thing about when you want to have when you're doing your album, like in this part of the concept is set up a table or a space where there are pedals or something in your room that, Ivan, as you were saying, can fuck the sound up in an analog kind of or digital kind of way, or set up in your door some stuff. Go shopping for some free plugins or something, I don't know. But decide on a sound. And instead of using EQ and distortion in post, like after post-production or in production, have an 80s mindset to it where it's a part of the sound. So you were actually fucking it, putting it to tape. And when you put it to tape EQ'd. Put compression and EQ to tape. Dedicate it to tape. That's why I fucking love outboard stuff, is that you've got to decide on this. You got to spend time, you got to decide it, you got to make the sound the best it can be, then then dedicate it to tape. That's why they call it dedicating. That's what I think. And another thing about the fucking SteamPipe is it does have that audio input, which I will be playing with soon. But it will, instead of pulling the sound source from a piece of white noise, it will be pulling it from a constant sound. And that's really exciting to me. That's super fucking, that's cool.
Does it treat that as a real-time process, or does it take little gates of
Real-time.
it?
Real
So it'll be
time.
like an effect tube
Yeah.
and resonators.
Oh yeah. So think of it also like you can sit there going or bowing a piece of metal, find a loop and just play it into the thing. So you're kind of getting but absolutely not wave shaping. And then you're playing chords over it, or it's this great big monophonic unison motherfucker thing. Or you're doing it to drums or whatever. That's very interesting. Yeah, so that's another thing is think about what affects what's the sound here. Think about it and listen to John Fox, because John Fox does this shit and it's inspiring. Yeah. All right, keep going. And also adorn your studio with photos of people in the studio who you think are awesome, like that beautiful it's either Gotel or fucking Kevin Key with his Emax and his Mirage covered in distortion pedals. That's often or the G. Michael Jarre 1978, you know, something that's and specific to what you're doing as well. Brett, what do you think?
I actually wanted to ask you a question. You said about putting down the tape. I was curious if you had a favorite tape format to use.
No, when I say putting it down to tape, I mean actually recording it to hard drive.
I got you.
I just use that because I'm trying to look cool.
Well, I mean, there's effects and such you can do with like old reel-to-reels and whatnot, and tape delay and everything else comes from literally tape.
Perfect. And indeed, that's the sort of thing that you should be fucking with. Like if you say, I want the album to sound like it's 1988, then set everything up to have tape emulation and tape delay and all that fun stuff. And I never, audio to VHS tapes. I learned that from Lex Voltaire. Incredibly high quality. Like mind-blowingly high quality. Just fuck around and find out. Have fun with it. Razi, what do you think?
For my money, like I've tried various quarter-inch 4 and 2 tracks, half track and quarter tracks, but they're not designed to distort and saturate the way that 24-inch tape is, that classic sense. And they're definitely not as crappy as cassettes. So they're that like sort of lame middle ground of like, well, I mean, it's kind of breaking up, but it doesn't really do that thing that you think you're trying to get in the back of your mind. And nobody's got the space for a 24 track and the number of, cassette. I was going to say, get the plug-in version. They all do this really well, or build a chain of, similar square LFOs with a little bit of pitch warble and some gain reduction and distortion. And you've got pretty much what a cassette, bad cassette will do. But the emulator plugins are all pretty inspirational because they have nice drawings of a cassette playing on them, and it makes you feel like you're doing the real thing. They work a treat for that exact sound that you're probably chasing. As for VHS, I've been intermittently searching for a VHS hi-fi that has real-time monitoring, as in a 3-head system, so that you can process in real time. Because I don't want to fucking record the thing and then rewind and then play it back and have the thing. I want just as an outboard piece of gear, VHS, because that is a sound. I don't know if it's that they didn't filter the other components well and there's an electronic noise to it, or if they just all had a reduced dynamic range, or I don't know if it's the actual frequency spectrum, because they're pretty wide. They're pretty hi-fi, as it says. But there's totally a sound that I'm chasing of VHS recording, and I would love to find a deck that has, monitor mode or repro cell rep, like 3-head style. Haven't found it yet. I know that they have existed in like Sony or the Panasonic, I guess, the Pro 19-inch rack mount versions. But we shall see. Something I'm chasing.
Mm. And this is another really interesting thing where there's all this old technology that's got like crazy. Also, yeah, shout out to Mike. Thank you, Diana. That's Mike's Bandcamp. Like the expectation of and the romance and the nostalgia of this stuff versus the practicality of using it. Like I always go, yeah, I want to get an old tape fucking 4-track again. Then I remember when I had my tape fucking 4-track again, it was like, no, this is a pain in the cock. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's sitting in the shadows, gathering dust, and other things are plugged into its channels on the patch bay right now. So.
You could sell, yeah, you could sell those things now because people want them. Oh, they're real, and they're great. It's great to, make music away from the door and blah, blah, blah. But, oh boy. Hey, Rob. Hey, good to see your face on YouTube. But no, it's just really interesting. And that's, that's another thing that for me is a distraction. Like, and I'm aware that I have this distraction. I've given up on electronics like fucking 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I went, I'm going to build an oscillator. I'm going to build all this shit. No, don't waste your time. Find someone who wants to do that shit, pay them. Because, if you're paying some guy to fuck around, it's actually cheaper than you fucking around, because considering what you're worth as far as your time goes, they might build some weird thing and you say, well, here's $50 for it or $100 or whatever. If it works, maybe more. In the long run, you're going to save money and you're going to save time. Because, a lot of that stuff, I think for me anyway, it's the procrastinating energy of creativity. I feel creative, but I'm procrastinating. So I'm going to fuck around. I'm going to waste my time with dumb fucking shit. Ivan, get off reverb right now. So yeah, there you go. And another thing is laying out. You might want to actually get synths that you've used too much and put them away. Like stick them in the corner, put them somewhere else. And then in their place, you might put another synth that you don't use often, or you might put some distortion pedals out or something. And a question I wanted to ask is, do you wonderful humans actually manipulate stuff, twiddle knobs, when you're putting it down? When you're recording it, assuming that you record it like you dump it down to digital, you dedicate it to tape, dedicate it to digital, and you're not using a software synth. So I'm really, because I program it all. And there's a reason I program it all. Rezi, talk to me.
99% of the time it's programming and tweaking the curves to do the thing that I thought I wanted to do. But that last 1% of the time, record 10 minutes of fucking around and noodling with the actual knobs and then find the performances. And then an unmeasurably small amount of time where I'm sitting in front of a hardware synth that has, we're specifically talking about hardware synths, not me playing guitar and turning a knob on an effect in real time. But for the synths, it's a vanishingly small amount of time that I'll record a performance as I'm editing in that way. So somewhat in that proportion.
Love it. Thank you.
But guitar, yes, all the time, because pedal, like a volume expression or throw to reverb or turning the knob or the gain knob on the guitar itself or filter, wah, that kind of thing.
Perfect. Thank you. Brett, what do you think?
I do a good bit of that actually. A lot of that is most of that is typical pitch bend or mod wheel kind of stuff. However, I do often have a track in there where I'll be doing something with the ribbon strip, or if it's like guitar or something like that. It's the same sort of thing, just like Rezi was talking about. And when I'm doing it, I'm literally trying to bring a human element to it, and that's the only reason.
Okay, I like that. I like it a lot. Inspired me. Thank you, Alex.
It depends whether it's a proper song or just a jam. With jams all the time, with proper songs, usually yes, if it's not MIDI playable, and no, if it has MIDI, unless it's some with some exceptions, but usually if I can control it with MIDI, I will, because then I can just record one note movement with MIDI, maybe cut out the parts I don't like, and then have like the perfect version of it.
That's interesting. Thank you. Ivan?
I have a surprising amount of gear that it doesn't even have a MIDI channel. So, that stuff, like, always. And like, I got a number of pieces of gear that don't have MIDI that I like to use on a regular day-to-day basis because they sound good. They do that special thing, and they require some human input to really like bring out the like dynamics of how good they are. Particularly like the Fairfield, you can't just leave it. And if you put an LFO on it, it will that works kind of, but it occasionally works too much or doesn't work enough. And sometimes just getting in there and changing it by hand as the song goes along it makes a difference. Also, like the mod wave has chaos physics, so you're hitting that pad by hand because like I don't even know how to program that with MIDI yet. And then but if it's not those things, if it is something that is MIDI, I I'm really going to lean on using the automation lane to make it work and do the right thing at the right time, because then I don't have to worry about it. I mean, not having to worry is definitely a pretty big deal.
Hi there. Thanks. This is a real kick in the butt for me to remember to try it harder, to push harder, because I automate everything. Just because I want stuff to specifically step up in that bit and then come down. And if I can't do that when I'm playing, even if I'm using the Chaos pad, which I need to really focus on in this new album, I need to use a whole bunch of Chaos pad, and I've decided I'm using a lot of K2000 again. I program all the movement of it. Raziel, what do you think?
I think that's, part of the pleasure of building the song soundscape part, effect, event, like whatever the scale you're working at is, for me, programming the LFO to be in the right sync, or making the step sequencer inside the synth interface actually have the right beat divisions, or add an envelope modulator at the correct tempo to do the thing that I want it to do and be groovy or subtle or overt. I totally would be just as happy playing those events too, but there's a lot of things that, they don't suit themselves to like playing something that's a square event, which is sort of binary, or playing something that's supposed to sound technically on the beat precisely, not groovy. And you just sort of weigh the options, but there is so much depth in Carl, as you're saying, the programming it to do that version, that you get to make a couple of decisions later because it's not baked in. That's kind of fun for some people, myself included. And you do that sculpture on the front end and watch it play out. And you're like, my machines are doing my bidding. Excellent, it worked. And I think that's a satisfying way of doing it in a similar way to jamming along and, turning the knobs and getting the effect that you wanted is, but different applications. They're just very different times for those purposes, with maybe indistinguishable results at the end, but for you doing the work, very different.
Yeah, man, totally. Thank you. Alex, thoughts?
I hope Resi didn't already say, but I almost never records parameter movement the same time I record the playing of the notes. I usually play in the MIDI and then let it play back to me. And while it plays back to me, I twiddle the knobs and change the parameters and switch presets, whatever. So it's never one process because I only just have the two arms and I'm not very skilled at playing left-handed.
I didn't say that, but I agree about how I usually would do it also. The one thing that's not on an LFO or a pattern sequencer is either aftertouch and velocity. And sometimes you can map velocity to something pretty radical that gives a crazy change to the sound just from the velocities that isn't just the volume of the note, but it's like a filter sweep or a timbre shift or something like that. And rarely I've assigned one of the faders, the MIDI assignable CC to a parameter and done it in real time as I'm playing to get the sort of general effect. And I'm sure I've left that from time to time, but more or less that's the basis for the envelopes that I'm about to redraw with the breakpoint tool or with the some other modulator thing. And if we're talking Ableton Live, there's 4 ways of doing that really immediately and instantaneously, whether it's along the timeline or at the clip level doing it, so it's bound to the duration of the clip, or it's its own modulation thing that you're doing that isn't bound to the duration of the clip, and you're making them stagger so that you've got some polyrhythmic interaction between them so that your envelope that you drew is, say, 5 beats long, and the loop that you're doing it over is 4 beats long, so they only line up every multiplication of that. You get some surprises that way. But there's something certainly to be said for the couple of machines that you have that don't have MIDI channels assigned to them. Like you were saying, Ivan, I think you were saying you have something in the studio that's not on a MIDI channel. Do those things get printed with your knob twiddlings in them?
Absolutely. That I will, get the MIDI all written, get it sounding good, then play it back, and then add, the knob twiddling as part of that so that it's getting recorded. And then, once it's printed, then, it's off to arrangement land.
I'm wondering, so you're printing some MIDI, you're sending it back out to the device, and then you're doing manipulations on the front panel and recording the audio so that you've got a hard record of that. You're not sending control information for every single knob sys-X on the thing. Which, hey, there's an argument to do that. There are no
sys-X.
Got it. Cool. Brett, were you going to chime in on that same sort of angle?
Yeah, I definitely use the technique Alex was talking about as well, but there's another thing that I'll do is essentially sample myself. This is where, I was trained on, drums, so most of that was, as I was growing up, they were all analog instruments anyway, so if you wanted to do anything, you had to record it, and then, if you wanted to break up different groups of rhythms, you ended up sampling yourself. So taking something like the Kurzweil, for example, throw on a cool patch that I've made, play with it on the ribbon strip, and just record the audio. What I'll do then is I'll go back and I'll take those very things and I'll actually just cut them up into pieces, and I'll use those so that they're still in time, that they still do all the things. And then it also allows you to pick the best one of those things if you want. You get a lot of the same characteristics from programming it, but you get a lot more of the human element because it isn't. You get those fine little nuances. You're a little bit early, you're a little bit late, but everything's still in sync.
That's great. And Razi, thank you. Thanks, Brett. Does anybody else want to jump in here? This has been really inspiring. Today's been great. I have written myself. Razi, go.
I can think of 3 things that I've committed to tape without recording the knobs or anything, and they're usually things that are about to break. Like this is the last time we're going to get that sound out of it. Guitar amp, tubes, that kind of thing, or things that, like I was. My line of thinking was like, yeah, the guitar and vocals and piano, we never edit those. We just play them. We get the best performance. And it's like, well, let's face it. We definitely slice those up and edit them down to the syllable and retune everything and, put it on the grid or off the grid. So kind of everything, including the acoustic and manually played instruments, get edited. So it's a weird circular discussion, and I don't even know what the answer is anyway, but it's fun.
Yeah, I need to do it more. I mean, I need to. Yeah. Crazy. Ivan, talk to me.
Yeah, Euro Rack will, help you develop a workflow around, physical hardware that's not, connected to MIDI because there's a lot of stuff going on in Eurorack that you're not going to be automating with MIDI. I think there's a lot of stuff you will be. There's plenty of stuff that you're going to run through the clock divider and modulate with that. But at the same time, like especially the big sudden changes, you're probably going to be twisting a knob to make that happen, or hitting a button that enabled that brings that channel to life. Um, and at the same time there's just no way to record that, so you know just print the audio to tape, get it recorded, and then pull that recording into your favorite DAW and do your next thing with it.
Thank you. Alex, talk to me.
Okay, that's a bit of a tangent, but also sometimes plugging one synth into the other can be really interesting. So maybe I have like one FM synthesizer and one mono synth, put them into the same MIDI channel and just put the FM synthesizer through the filter of the mono synth to have like an extra large mono synth.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm just phasing out here because my brain is like fully gone, very excited about all of this conversation. I'm making lists about what I want to do, how I want to achieve stuff, how I want to get stuff done, what I want to do for this new album. I just want to indulge. There's a documentary on YouTube. I'll put it in the comments here. This is a documentary that I had that I got with Lux actually, and because we were so into cyberpunk, and this is talking about hacking and there's a little bit on Survival Research Laboratory. That stuff is so fucking inspiring. Grotesque, ugly, rotten, but fantastic. This is a really wonderful documentary. It's very, it's so inspiring. It's about what could have been. Maybe we should grateful it wasn't or something, I don't know. But yeah, so, and also I just bought this little table. Isn't that great? I'm going to sample this motherfucker. Yeah, so get inspired, make notes. And when you're making music, why don't you watch it and go, well, I'm going to do on this track what Ivan would do, or what Brett would do, or Alex or Raziel. I'm going to try and conjure you into my studio. So if you're sitting there and suddenly your soul disappears, that was me. I'll give it back once you twiddle some knobs. Super inspiring. So thank you. Do we want to keep going down this very happy road of madness, or do we want to call this and go watch MTV TV? Let's bugger off. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Every Saturday we're here on Angelspit's Twitch, and it's going to be Booyah Happy Town. Angelspit's Patreon, bam, $3 a month, or it's free. Take your pick. I don't mind. If you want to hear some amazing music, listen to the Nebula Suite. It's the new album, and I'm very proud of it. The new Angelspit album is called Red End. I had to think about it. And it's kickstarting in about 2 weeks, and Patreon members get a free copy. And Patreon members have already been watching its development, by the way, through all the different demo phases. The Industrial Incisions playlist is wonderful. There's a bunch of new bands. Go find a new band. Go listen to them. Go like them. Remember, Wednesday nights, Vulture Culture, and you're going to walk away buying a new fucking synth with a hangover. It's bloody awesome fun. MTV TV is where we are going now. It's the best. If you want to get involved with that, if you want to send them your track, please fucking send them the shit. They will play it. And Rezi, as always, thank you so much. That's Rezi's stuff. Rezi, you're a rock star. Thanks for...
The cat says thank you.
Oh, go you, Josie. Frank's getting brown in his... I noticed he's starting to get brown. Interesting. No more perfect platinum from Frank. Where is it? And hey, while you're there, go back MTV TV's bloody Patreon because it's awesome. If you're watching on any other things, we're headed over to MTV TV now. And I'll tell so Diana, set up that raid if you could. We're gonna hang back here and chat, and then I'm gonna make notes about fucking stuff. I'm gonna watch this CYBERPUNK documentary again. Great shit, so inspiring. So Diana, let me know when we set off that raid, and I'm gonna put this in the chat again because it's so fantastic. CYBERPUNK documentary, there. Go watch it. So inspiring, man. I was thinking I need to so we're rating, awesome. I need to use more arpeggiators. I never use arpeggiators in Angelspit. I think it's time. Maybe I've used it once or twice.
Arpeggiators can be fun. I found the last one was really fun for creating an idea or helping to create an idea.
Yeah. I frequently end up printing the arpeggiators output and doing things to it later, but yeah. Great way to get started.
Because I've got a latch, an analog latch with the sequences. Like I'll often use a sequence. Have we rated?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna kill this.